All right, and we are live. Dear God, I blame this on Caitlin Clark. She lost. She fucked up the camera.
Didn't even watch the game.
9 people in the attendance are sad. I don't know what's going on. You're live.
That shit was packed.
What they hand out free car wash at the end of the game or something?
No, I think the cheapest ticket was like $481.
Yeah, more expensive than the men's final.
Or is it American or pesos or what they have going on? I don't know. Well, you're listening to Let's Not Do This podcast. You're watching it. I don't know what's wrong with my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and say that my camera decided rather instead of watch women's basketball, it would take its own life, much like I would, rather than watch women's basketball. My nap was glorious that I just woke up from right before this show. And Smokey and the Bandit that I watched during the women's basketball game was highly more entertaining than the women's basketball game. But we're here. Chris is queer. Get used to it. You're listening to the Let's Not Do This podcast for Sunday, April 7th, year of our Lord, 2024. Happy National Beer Day, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. Is that what today is?
Yes. National Beer Day, which also explains my lack of sobriety. Went out to brunch, forgot that we were doing this show for a little bit. Then
this was your idea.
Yes, it was my idea. Well, like much stately rulers, I just say things and expect them to be done. Went to brunch, went to a brewery, got up early, started drinking. Now it's 7:34 as crow flies as we record this. My camera doesn't work, and I'm hungover coming back from a nap. So, we got that going on.
Yeah, I think the camera is saving us from seeing your bit head since you just woke up from a nap.
Oh, I'm sure I got some.
So thank you, Apple. Thank you, Steve Jobs.
Albert Einstein locks going on. And you know what? Thank you, Apple, for your incompetence. I've always been more of a Droid guy. So this, explains now.
Why don't you go get a Droid laptop? See how that works out.
Hey, Sony, those wise people over there, I'm sure could put something together very nice. But we're here. We're watching. You gentlemen watched the women's college basketball national championship game. Did they wake people up at the end of it?
I actually fell asleep during the second half. I took a nap too.
Look at that.
I took a nap too. It had nothing to do with the product. It had everything to do with my social battery getting drained by being with my family all day.
Scotty, are the police raiding your home?
Oh, I had another tab that started. It was ESPN randomly started playing like a commercial. It was in my earbuds.
These are things that are also more interesting than watching Caitlin Clark play basketball.
It's not true.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
Yeah,
it might be more exciting than the men's game. I know the Final Four is more exciting.
So who won? I just woke up and honestly, I would take my life and watch Ukrainian soccer before that. Who won?
You said that. South Carolina won.
South Carolina, UVA legend Dawn Staley adding another trophy to her trophy case.
No, it's Richmond. What was the women's team in Richmond?
Richmond Rage.
Yes,
Richmond Rage legend.
I went and saw her play at the Coliseum as a member of the Richmond Rage.
You would, Chris. Of course you would have. What would they have? 2-for-1 tickets? 2-for-1, buy one, get one for $3 for women's basketball?
Pretty sure my dad got free tickets from UCreps.
And what did you get? Free asbestos as well for coming in and watching the game at the Coliseum?
This is the mid-'90s. I think it was still in decent repair at that point.
First 2,000 people get free asbestos as they enter the arena. God, what a dump of an arena, which is a perfect place for women's basketball, actually. The women's Coliseum. In fact, they should play the women's NCAA tournament in the Richmond Coliseum for henceforth. You can dodge falling ceiling tiles and asbestos, and it's kind of like Mario Kart, that would like jazz it up more. Maybe you have like a spot on the floor where you can like shoot from three. Maybe like if you make a layup, people actually wake up. You play like the little like the little like R&B horn thing. Yeah, I can jazz up women's basketball.
This drunk Leon rant is not endorsed by the rest of this podcast.
I had the under 161 and it missed by like 2 or 3 points because the first 5 minutes they came out like on fire. Like the rest of the game was
blazing. Yeah.
Wait, you're under 161. Was that under 161 people in attendance or the age of the people watching?
1,000 maybe.
Okay.
So they scored more than UConn and Alabama.
Oh,
yeah, the first 45 minutes, it was like 7 or 8 points a minute.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, congratulations to one Don Staley. What is this, our third national championship in South Carolina?
I know it's South Carolina's third.
Second or third. Yeah.
There we go. Which, by the way, I don't have kids, but I would not want my daughter to wear any apparel that says Cox. So go South Carolina. If you're
Darius Rucker was there with the South Carolina hoodie on.
Darius Rucker was?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Shane Beamer hasn't really given them much to cheer about over the last couple of years, and he's such a baby that the Dolphins make him cry. So he had to root for something. And South Carolina
Yeah, South Carolina was just too big.
All right, so
they just throw the ball up at the rim, and then they would get the offensive rebound, and another offensive rebound, and keep doing that until they laid it in. That was the game, basically.
So pretty much it's the Purdue strategy last night as the Boilermakers eliminated NC State in the men's tournament where Zach Edey, who has a case of gigantism, is just too big. You just throw the ball up and Big Tree tosses layup and scores. How do you defend that, gentleman, is beyond me. But if he does ever have to dribble the basketball, you can just double it and steal it from him. He has no footwork, and he's just tall with a hook shot. But congratulations, Purdue. May you continue to spit crickets as you do around your campus. And look that up. That's true. They have cricket spitting championships there.
Indiana's a strange place.
They make Virginia Tech look like Times Square in New York City. Like it's very, very classy or something, Like,
have you ever even been to Blacksburg on campus?
Been to Blacksburg many of a time. It's the coldest, saddest place on earth. The only things that get loved down there are sheep, animal
campus is nicer than UVA.
What's that?
So it's got a nicer campus than UVA.
Well, that's
because UVA doesn't have a campus; they have the grounds, sir.
Thank you, Scotty. I mean, Christopher. I'll ever agree with you on anything there. Yeah, and the sheep aren't scared in Charlottesville, much like they are in Blacksburg when date night comes around.
Yeah, just.
But which, by the way, I was at the grocery store yesterday, and there was a very large Coca-Cola display for March Madness, and it had the Hokey Bird, and I don't think anyone informed the grocery store that it was in fact basketball.
Say hi to Kara, everybody.
Hello, Kara. Chris.
She is gracious enough to let me use her office. So
lucky for you.
FaceTime if she wants it.
Lucky for her, she didn't have to see Leon.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm going to say she's a lot more pleasant to look at than you, Chris. So if you just want to leave, that'd be great for all parties involved. Yeah. All right. Well, South Carolina women's basketball wins the national championship yesterday. Let's go to the men's game and things that actually matter. North Carolina State falls to Purdue. The glass slipper finally turned into a pumpkin for the Wolfpack. I think that sound you hear is NC State missing another three-pointer right now. I know you guys watched this. What are y'all's thoughts on that first national semifinal yesterday between the Boilermakers and the Wolfpack?
I think they regressed back to who they were all year. I think Purdue forced them to do things that they did not want to do, which was not work through DJ Burns because he could do nothing. He was on the bench half the time. Purdue is just a better team, more athletic, a lot bigger inside. So NC State finally ran into a team that they could not push around, and they looked like they did for most of the year.
Scotty?
Yeah, I actually think NC State, your defense wasn't terrible. What did Edie end up with, like 20, 22 points?
So around there, I'll get the exact number.
I know he shot like 9 for 14 or something like that. So
he had another double-double.
But yeah, it wasn't like a monster game from him. I think y'all forced him into some shots farther away from the rim than he's used to, but he was making them. But yeah, it was your offense other than DJ Horn. Like, I can't think of anybody that had even a decent game. That's pretty much what it came down to. They were hitting shots and y'all weren't.
Yeah, Zach Edey had 20 points, 12 boards on the night. As Chris said, another double-double. He was 9-14 for the field. From the field. I mean, like, that hook shot is just, you can't stop it. You get the ball in there with them. He had a 7-inch advantage over DJ Burns. Once the ball gets in there, if he doesn't have to dribble, if he doesn't have to move his feet, if you don't have to double him and strip it away, if he can just turn and go to that hook shot, you're just not going to stop it. I mean, he's just it was literally like watching a real life Goliath in the middle of the paint there. And I haven't watched a lot of Purdue basketball this year, so I've seen him, but that was the first like whole Purdue game I watched. Yeah, the guy's just a freak. State yesterday, 26% from three. They were like 5 of 19. I think 36% from the field. Diarra just wasn't pulling down the rebounds like normal. I know he had, I think, 5 for the day, but State couldn't clean the offensive glass. DJ Horn with the 20 points on the day. Burns was kind of ineffective with 8 points. Obviously, I think the offense stuttered after O'Connell went down with that injury. Which, have y'all ever seen that before? Where, like, you know, a point guard's coming up the floor, running the ball, and just
white guy being unathletic. Yes.
Yeah, the floor monster.
Yeah, it's a floor monster. Just like it's like Mario Kart, like a banana peel came out of nowhere and just, you know, he crumpled like JFK in the back of that limo. You know, like it was awful. Thankfully, things worked out a little bit better for him, and he could come back and play. But yeah, he was just not the same guy. And hey, I'm not upset as a State fan. I know I've been seeing some State fans online that were upset at the game plan, this and that, and you're playing with house money at that point if you're an NC State fan. This whole run just was nothing anyone ever expected. We started the ACC tournament thinking that Kevin Keats was going to get fired, and is Will Wade going to line up in Raleigh? And, you know, here we are 9 wins later, and you're in the Final Four, beyond anyone's wildest dreams. So yesterday was disappointing, but, I mean, you got to be proud of those guys and the women's team as well. You got to be proud of how they turned out. To get 2 teams in the Final Four is nothing short of amazing, but obviously not the performance you thought was going to happen last night. I really thought that they kind of cracked the code a little bit. Just the shots weren't falling. They started to speed them up. They started to press, trap a little bit more. Started to run Purdue a little bit more. I think they held Purdue to like their second lowest offensive point total of the year, I want to say. Like, defensively, they weren't bad. It was just the shots were just not falling. And I don't know if that's tired legs or maybe it's playing in a football stadium. The sight lines are different, but the shots were just not there yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. I expected that out of them yesterday, but I won a lot of money on them playing the way they did. So,
we doing a whole $7.19. What are you fucking Dave Portnoy is going to win $2 million if UConn wins a national title? I'm sure your 38-cent bet was moving in.
Hey man, I won $75 off of them last night.
Okay. Well, there you go. And
a little bit more than normal.
Probably been spent on cigarettes and hemorrhoid cream. So there you go.
I hit the under.
Yeah.
The first leg of our parlay.
Yeah, how did our parlay do?
Well, we hit 2 out of 3 legs, right? Your Japanese driver came in 10th.
That might be racist.
It would be not Japanese.
Yes, Yuki Tsunoda, Japanese, started 10th, finished 10th in the Japanese Grand Prix in the early hours this morning. So my leg hit. What else did we hit on our parlay?
Well, the under, as I just said.
Yeah.
Purdue, NC State.
What was the over-under?
146.5.
Okay. And Chris, how did you fuck us?
UConn did not shoot a 3 at the end with Hurley's kid. Missed the over by 3 points.
There we go. The NC State game, not only did I lose that game, but I also took the Wolfpack live plus 12.5. And the missed 3-pointer right at the end before UConn got the ball and dribbled it out screwed me there as well. So I got double fucked on that one from a gambling standpoint. But what are you going to do? All right. So Purdue advanced.
You're used to that, though.
Yeah.
Getting double fucked. Yeah.
Enough young ladies do tend to reach out,
DP is your favorite 2 letters in the alphabet, from what I hear.
There's a Kendra Lust joke in there somewhere. I'm going to let someone else make that. All right. So then in the nightcap last night, which I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't watch a ton of that game. I was a little disheartened after the Wolfpack loss. And also Saturday night, gentlemen, is on patrol night for me. So I do like to watch people like Chris get arrested and tased and stuff like that on live TV. So I was going back and forth watching degenerates go to jail. So I did not see a good portion of UConn, Alabama. I'll defer to you guys on that one. You first there, Scotty, because I'm sure you're smarter than what Chris is going to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just more of the same from UConn. Alabama played about as perfect as they could in the first half and a lot of the second half too. And then UConn was just being UConn at the end. They pulled away, ended up. I mean, the announcers said it in the game, but it was a lot closer than what the score was. But still, at the end of the day, UConn covers. They win by double digits. Alabama came out hitting just about every 3. I think the first half they were 70% from 3. I think they said. And was it tied at the half, or was like if it wasn't tied, it was a 1-possession game. Either way,
it was either tied or Alabama had the lead. I thought.
I think Bama was up by 1 or 2 or something like that. I don't know. It was a close game, and Alabama played the half of their lives really. And then you just knew that UConn was going to come out and do what they do. And yeah, they were just the much better team. They're just too good.
Yeah, they're a very scary team. I don't like Purdue's chances against them, but in this game, like Scotty said, Alabama played great for about 27, 28 minutes, and then UConn just never stopped, and Alabama ran into a wall. UConn is just fucking unreal.
The score at the half was 44-40. Huskies
nice.
were up at the half.
Okay.
UConn proceeded to outscore them 42-32 in the second half en route to an 86-72 victory over the Crimson Tide. I mean, that's been the most complete all year long. I think we could all agree on, right? That UConn just all year has just been a machine for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
They only lost 3 games. One was to Creighton, where Creighton hit like 23s or something, some insane number.
They were 36-3 on the year.
Yeah, they're
absurd number.
Yeah, Dan Hurley, by far the best coach in the country. I think we can say that. Alabama, like I said, they had the game plan. They just couldn't execute at the latter part of the game. But UConn is just fucking unreal. I haven't seen a team like this since the Florida team.
their fans, I know Dan Hurley said that their fans were like assholes on social media or something like that. I'm taking his words out of context there. But I feel like, is it me or do I feel like UConn wasn't getting the respect coming into this weekend? Like a lot of people talked about State and the run that they had. I feel like maybe not a lot of people talking about Bama. There was a lot of talk about Purdue and like Zach Edey and stuff. But I feel like, oh yeah, by the way, the champs are still here. The champs are still alive, and they're probably a better team than they were last year. And you think they were living off of that at all? I know, they got in at, was it 3 a.m. a couple days ago? There were UConn fans saying, "Oh, our hotel isn't as nice at the other hotels on how they were decorated and this and that." You think they like manufactured their own hey, we're not being respected, or what? Am I reading too much into the tea leaves there?
No, Dan Hurley is known for that. He's motivating his kids, doing all sorts of shit. They were warming up with baseball gloves on the other day, or just before the game yesterday. Like, he's a mad scientist. He conjures up bullshit just so that they get some extra motivation, because it's hard to stay motivated 40 games into a year, especially as a college kid, especially as a team that did it last year, especially as a team that's fucking blown everybody out by double digits on this run. So I'm sure he's going to have something else up his sleeve. Somebody let fucking scorpions into their hotel or some shit from Purdue, and they're going to come out guns blazing in the next game. But Dan Hurley he's a brilliant basketball guy.
Yeah, he's been doing that like all year. We're not getting respect. We're still the underdog. You hear it go on every radio station, and it's UConn's the best team. They're the favorite. And then you go to Dan Hurley. Everybody's counting us out. It's like, no, we're not. It's kind of like that Michael Jordan mentality. Like, you hear all the stories of like, this guy said this, so that's why he went off for 50 next time. And then you get like, that never happened. Like, just making up stories to get them motivated. But I mean, it's working.
Yeah.
It's amazing that the great ones can find that extra juice, that extra motivation, whether it's real or perceived or just completely imaginary, to take things to that next level. Before we talk about the national championship game tomorrow night between UConn and Purdue, did you guys see? Obviously, going to the Final Four, it's like a kind of a who's who of college basketball. You see everyone is there, different coaches and players and people that were legends in the past. Did you guys see Roy Williams at the Final Four? I know I saw him in the background talking to Mark Few from Gonzaga. But did you see his reaction to DJ Burns? One of his few highlights there with a nice little bounce pass to DJ Horn for a layup.
Can I point something out real quick?
Yeah.
Is that your targeted trending topics on the right there? Bisexual Undertaker. What's going on here?
What are you doing, man?
Well, that and the Deaf to America. I think he knew that Chris Green was going to be on this podcast with us. I don't know what trending topics are coming up here. Long live America, and I'm sure Chris wants to see a bisexual American badass Undertaker. But Roy Williams properly hates NC State, and I hate Carolina. I've said this to anyone that's listening. I hate Carolina more than I hate Al Qaeda. I'll just go ahead and say this now. But I respect Roy.
Maybe that trending topic
is a help. Was that?
So maybe that trending topic is correct then.
Yeah, old Huckleberry Hound is a hell of a basketball coach. But he was there watching yesterday, and just look at the disgust that he has for this bounce pass and this layup here by DJ Horn.
Should have never happened. Can't get beat back there. He's absolutely correct.
You've been beat back door many times. There's many men that beat down your back door. So, What?
Saw that coming.
Yeah. But, yeah, just I actually respect this level of hate. he's a Tar heel, like through and through. That guy like grew up in an era when State was dominant. They used to beat up on Carolina. I think he lost like a game to State when he was playing JV at Carolina, which is one of the few schools that have like JV basketball still. And he just properly hates NC State. If he can twist the knife and run up the score on State, old Huckleberry Hound would. And even to this day, sitting in the crowd watching the game, he's like just contempt for NC State is still there. And I hate it, but I respect it.
So do you respect Bin Laden also?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But, it's like I applaud him because he cared. Like Roy cared so much.
Oh, I thought he was talking about Bin Laden.
No.
Yeah.
So much with
Carolina.
Carolina people always like want to say, "Oh, NC State is not our rival. Dukers are a rival." Blah blah blah. No, Roy understood the magnitude of that game. It was always important for him when they played State. He always wanted to twist a knife into State, and I appreciate that. He respected the rivalry. The biggest sign of respect is to go out and like care about the game and crush someone. In which he did the State many times over the years. So I do respect that he had that level of contempt, for NC State, that it still exists to this day.
Yeah, can we get off of this continuous loop of your lone highlight from the game last night?
Yeah, that's why he's playing it.
Yeah.
Remember the good times.
Yes. Well,
that was DJ Burns' highlight clip from last night.
Well, it was 1987, 1983 to 2024 Final Four. So do the math there. By the time I'm in the nursing home, we probably should be going to another one. So, by the way, Scotty, a Final Four is this thing that men's basketball teams go to when there's only 4 teams left.
You can say that now.
But,
well, don't forget he's a VCU fan, so he's been there.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. Wait, can people from VCU spell VCU? Is it? Did you get a free crayon?
What?
To apply for VCU?
Oh, what did you say?
You
can't do that. You can't do that when you're trying to make fun of somebody's intelligence.
Hey, I have an impediment. Okay, the American Disabilities Act protects me, sir.
Yeah, his impediment is he's got 2 hot dogs stuffed in his cheeks right now. That's why the camera's off.
Exactly.
Yes. Hey,
I heard some clanking around earlier. I was wondering what that was.
The clams that I had earlier are sitting mighty nicely there, and later on, the very trashy chili dog dinner that I'm going to have is going to sit very nice as well.
Jeez.
Very good.
Yes. All right. So, national championship game tomorrow. UConn, Purdue. You know what time tip-off is for this game?
Unfortunately.
Too late.
9:20 Eastern Standard Time.
The West Coast never gets a champion. So why are we
placating to those fucks?
To the West Coast, yeah.
Well, you get the entire East Coast by the time it starts. East and Central Time Zone are both in the prime time window. You can sell ads for a higher rate, and then the majority of the game will be you're going to get more of the game in the Western Time Zone in that prime time window for ads. But it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, you talk about trying to grow sports. We hear it in golf all the time. They talk about trying to grow the game. It's 9:20. Who is look, we're old now, like we are not the guys we were 15 years ago. Being up at 9:20, we have to go to work the next day. Chris, you have a child. He has to go to school the next day. Like
he's not going to watch anyways. But if I was going to have him, he would probably skip school the next day because he would be dead to the world.
Yeah, I get the money is important. But a 9:20 start time.
Well, that's where the women are doing it smarter because they did it at 3:00 this afternoon when nobody's doing anything. Nothing else is on TV. It was a perfect window. They're probably going to get 17, 18 million, you think?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be 17, 18 million. I'm sure the women, if they don't have more for the national championship game, it's going to be super tight. And it was also on ABC, right?
Yes.
Yeah, ESPN and ABC. Yeah.
Yeah. So middle of the day, Sunday on ABC. That's supposed to be 9:20. Is this game tomorrow on CBS? I haven't even looked.
Yes.
Okay. As where the Final Four was on TNT and TBS and True TV.
Yeah.
Like, of course, the women's games that were on the ESPN are going to rate higher than those channels. I honestly turned to CBS yesterday, 15 minutes before the game, thinking that the game's going to be on CBS. I can't remember in my lifetime when the Final Four game wasn't on CBS.
I think last year they did the same thing. I think it's just since they signed this Turner deal, but it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah,
but 9:20 on a Monday night is just absurd.
Yeah, they could at least push it back to 8. Like none of the pro sports have their championship that late. So why when you have college kids that are supposed to have classes the next morning, why is yours starting at 9:20?
Why not do a Thursday, Saturday?
I don't know.
Or push the women to do Thursday, Saturday, and we do Friday, Sunday. I don't understand.
Don't make sense to me.
Well, it's just like the Super Bowl. Why don't we have a Saturday Super Bowl? I mean, that just seems like better for everyone. You can get more people watching. Then you have that cushion day of a Sunday where we can all sleep and do whatever, and then go to work on Monday.
The UFL also hasn't figured out when to put games on either, because they had a game on at 4:00 today. Why not just push it to 6 or 7?
Is the UFL still existing? Have they folded after a week and a half?
No, but my team is the only team out of the 3 of us that has a win.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've watched probably 78 seconds of UFL football, and I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was on TV for 47 of those seconds.
Was he? Because he was on WrestleMania last night. I did not watch any of it because it was 6 hours long and in the middle of the Final Four. But I thought about watching it after, and then I realized it was 6 hours. So
I have a friend that flew from Texas to Philadelphia, flew from Houston to Philadelphia for the Final Four yesterday. Final Four for the WrestleMania, where he, I guess maybe wasn't paying attention before, but it was shocking to him to learn that the game was outside at the link in Philadelphia. So this brother had on a dress shirt, a backwards dad hat, and a blazer. He looked very financial bro. And he was sitting there, and I think he got down to 37, 31 degrees or something like that later on in the evening, which I'm sure that the wrestlers, were out there wearing their underwear, which I'm sure Chris will be watching in slow motion later. I'm sure they were pretty cold. I just don't understand having that outside, but I guess we did see Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson show up at WrestleMania.
We did.
Yeah. So they got
I don't know how many seats that place has, but they do 2 nights of it now, and they fill them both up. So they're getting probably 150, 160,000 total people.
Did you get a free tire iron for WrestleMania in Philadelphia? Do you get a free tire iron upon leaving the stadium, or do they have
you get barbed wire?
Yeah, do they have a collection of hubcaps where you can get your rims back after they're stolen from your rental car in Philadelphia? What a terrible, awful city. It smells like piss and they're retarded. What a terrible place. Philadelphia, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. I know I have family there, but it's a terrible, awful place. It's a place that God forgot is Philadelphia.
They didn't forget the food there, though. Food's great.
Yeah. Food's good. Nice little Italian scene. You got some cheesesteaks. It's a good beer town. But God forgot that place. It's like Uganda. Philadelphia and Uganda, God forgot them both.
Jesus. You were
his camera's
really.
not working, so he's just saying whatever he wants.
You're playing it up for Rumble, aren't you?
Yeah.
You sound like Joe Rogan in Connecticut.
Yeah.
For some reason, he hates Connecticut.
I'm unfamiliar with Joe Rogan's rant against Connecticut, but that's another terrible state as well.
Yeah, look that up. Let me get off of here.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Chris, these are states that we're talking about. These are places that people travel to.
Didn't I ace the geography quiz the other day?
Yeah, but you lived your life within a 28-minute radius of kickback.
I have not. I have been to Philadelphia actually,
and you survived.
In middle school. Yeah.
Which, hey, anytime that you can go to Philadelphia and leave without a bullet hole in you, it's probably a good thing. I know I've survived a couple times, so we got that going for us.
I've not been to Connecticut, but I have been to Philadelphia, so I'll take Philly over Connecticut all day.
I feel like Connecticut is just a bunch of people that work in New York City that eat weird pizza and claim that it's good, like New Haven pizza, and that's about it. That's my experience with the state of Connecticut.
That's where Gavin's mom is from, so
I'm gonna go ahead and leave
that for what it's worth.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave that.
I feel like Connecticut's not real. It's like a conspiracy, like with the birds. Birds aren't real. Connecticut's like a fake state.
I feel like there was a San Diego Padre that said that's similar about Wyoming a couple weeks ago. The state of Wyoming wasn't real, he felt like, which I can affirm that it was real. I have been in this the state capitol. I have sat at the head of the Wyoming Supreme Court. And I can tell you it is real. I did try to get some laws passed.
Was that on January 6th?
Yes, it was. Fun fact about the Wyoming State Capitol, Lee said something a few years ago. It's like wide open. You can just like walk around in there and have a self-guided tour. And there's like a restroom that's like right off of the like Supreme Court area there in Wyoming. Yeah. And I go to do a multitasker there, and I come out and my wife is just like in the middle of a conversation with a state senator there, and they're chatting it up like those two ladies are best friends. And I just defiled the restroom in the state capitol there, and it was just open to the public. So good for you, Wyoming. Very progressive leading state there.
Well, when your state population is like 11, I don't think you can really afford to hire security.
They're more grizzly bears than human beings in that state.
Right. If you can get past all the wildlife, then you can do whatever you want.
Everyone's just armed, and they just take turns riding their horse past the state capitol. That's security there in Wyoming. I love you, Cheyenne. You're a lovely city, and we don't let people like Chris in the Cheyenne. So
that's perfectly fine with me.
All right, national championship game. I digress. Tomorrow, 9:20. Chris will be asleep 15 minutes into the game. I haven't looked at Scotty, do you have a line? I know you're the degenerate gambler. You're probably betting on Saudi Arabian horse racing or something tomorrow as well.
Actually, that's you. I bet usually on real stuff.
Hey, I did win some money on second division European soccer this weekend. I forget what country, but I did win a couple of dollars.
Wow. I've had 2 really good weeks of gambling to make up for the tournament. Let's see. It was at 7. It is still at 7. UConn -7. Over under 145.5.
Okay.
Seems about right.
Well, I'll start with you. Where are you leaning on this matchup from a just the actual game, Scotty, and then also from a betting standpoint?
For the game, I like UConn. Purdue is probably the second best team all year. I would throw Houston in there too. But I do think they've kind of gotten lucky with their matchups so far in the tournament. They really haven't played anybody that's like a bad matchup for them. They stayed away from Marquette, Houston. I don't know why I said Marquette first, but Houston, Marquette, Kentucky, all those teams I think probably would have beat them. But I mean, they're still really good. They still have Zach Edey. They're a good shooting team, solid defense. I just think UConn's going to come in and win by double digits. They have Klingon. Is that how you say his last name? Klingon.
Donovan Klingon. He's like 7'2", 280, going against the 7'4", 300-pound Zach Edey.
Yeah, so they got a giant to match up with their white giant. He's not as good offensively, but he's a better defender. He's more athletic. I just think that they're going to give Purdue a hard time. They're going to not shut down, but they're going to make it hard for them to hit all those three-pointers they were making. I can see them winning by double digits. Betting-wise, UConn, I like the -7. And I like the under, but a small part of me thinks that as good as Dan Hurley is, he's going to come out running and gunning since they're the more athletic team. That's not typically how they play, but they have the more athletic guards. I think they're a faster team. I think this is just UConn's year once again, and they're just, like I said before, they're just too good.
Christopher?
I think Dan Hurley is on a mission to prove that he is the best coach in the country, and he's playing everybody's style that they go up against and beating the shit out of them doing it that way. So I think it's going to be a half-court game. I think he's going to slow it down. He's going to limit possessions, play great defense. I think the game goes under, but I think Purdue keeps it within the 7. I think it's going to be a lot closer. Purdue is the second best team in the country, and I think they'll be able to keep up. I think UConn wins probably by 5.
From a betting standpoint, I see where ESPN Bet has it at 6.5. I will definitely take that to take UConn money line on that one. I feel like this might be a 6, 7, 8 point kind of win. I feel like UConn's going to win, but like Purdue's not going to get blown out. They're going to stay in this thing, kind of be at an arm's length. I agree with Scotty, where like their guards are just more athletic, and I think NC State kind of, to a certain extent, showed to crack the code a little bit. I think you'll see them kind of start to collapse in and double in on Edey a little bit more, try to strip that ball, maybe speed them up a little bit more, even though that's not necessarily UConn's game. I think Tristan Newton is going to be a big X factor, the former East Carolina Pirate, in this game. But yeah, I like UConn, 6, 7, 8 point win. I'll take them minus the 6.5 here for Dan Hurley's boys to go back to back. And Klingon, from Storrs, Connecticut, by the way, he's like grew up not that far away. So kind of a cool where you see like a hometown guy, kind of like we saw with DJ Horn with NC State, a hometown guy doing well for his team back home. Klingon, kind of the same thing. You saw our graphic here at the Clash of the Titans. What is it, like the first time since like 84, I want to say, since that we've had 2 7-footers in the national championship game?
Yeah, it was Ewing versus Elijah.
Yeah. Which, do you guys think that maybe college basketball is starting to change a little bit, where you see Purdue with the big man, UConn's got the big man, NC State obviously playing, Burns backing down in the post. NC State has the kid coming in from Louisville next year that's 6'10". Obviously, Diarra's coming back next year. Do you feel like the game maybe starting to change a little bit to where a traditional big man role is coming back in college basketball?
Maybe. I don't know. I think this might just be a one-off. We've seen Purdue with big, giant white guys in the past that never did anything. Obviously, Edey's
correct,
just a different breed. But maybe, but I don't think so. I think we'll see the guard-centric college game come back.
Okay.
I don't know. It ebbs and flows. It comes in waves. Depends on how this whole transfer portal and NIL thing get under control. Do you know Zach Edey isn't eligible for NIL under American law because he's Canadian?
Yes. Which is just a stupid regulation in NIL. I remember Oscar Tshiebwe, when he was at Kentucky, was ineligible, and I think Kentucky last year in one of those early season or preseason tournaments that was like in the Bahamas or something like that. And he spent a little bit of time away from the team because that was his time getting endorsements done because he had to get it done there because on American soil he couldn't get anything.
Interesting. Very interesting.
The NCAA trying to still be the asshole any way they can.
Fuck them foreigners.
That might be racist.
Unless I'm supposed to say the inflammatory things here, sir.
Yeah, I think the big man, if they're good enough and they stay long enough in one system, then yeah, sure, why not? But we'll see what happens. Who knows?
I think especially with what we're seeing now in college basketball, where teams tend to be a little bit more, the teams are making a deeper run, tend to be a little bit more veteran. They're working the transfer portal. I mean, NC State was a prime example of that. I mean, you look at that lineup, had 4 graduate students in the starting lineup. Maybe we'll see some of these big men stick around because, you know, like Zach Edey isn't, you guys are NBA fans. I am not. I'd rather take my life than watch NBA. But he's not built for like the NBA game, the way the game is right now. That's a guy that's going to like be on the roster for a few years, maybe bounce around a little bit, but he's not going to be like a star in the league. He can't step out and hit it, extend the court or anything.
No, but the best comp that I have for him in his game is Yao Ming in the last 20 years. Similar build, similar game. Who knows? It depends on how the team wants to play, but he can survive. He's much better offensively than what was the kid from UCF?
Oh,
Tucker Fall.
Yeah, Tucker Fall, better offensively than Taco Fall. I mean, that's the size comp, and Taco Fall was around, but he's a much better offensive player. So if he keeps hitting the weights, he can make an impact on an NBA team. I don't know. I mean, he played all 40 minutes, and he was getting up and down the court. The dude's got cardio for days, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Speaking of which, it was actually downright comical a few times seeing DJ Burns kind of take the boxing approach to defending Zach Edey, where he had his arms out on him. You can see him kind of like resting and leaning on him. It was literally like the 7th round of a heavyweight fight where one guy was just leaning on another guy, getting a rest. That was his approach to defending. Ben Middlebrooks, very active. His hands were all over the place. I felt Middlebrooks actually did a decent job defending against Edey. But yeah, DJ Burns was definitely taking a siesta on some defensive possessions there.
Yeah, I want to know what he said to Edey to when they started laughing. Did you see that?
Yes, they were both cracking up. He wouldn't share after the game talking to Tracy Wolfson, which, by the way, is just an absurd picture with him talking to Tracy Wolfson, who's not short. She's not like a very short lady. I forget her height, but like
5'3". I think she is very short.
Mike Wise, I know, had tweeted that he stood next to her and did some stuff, and I forget how tall Mike Wise.
She's 5'2".
She's 5'2".
Yeah, she's a tiny little girl, tiny little lady.
He's just towering over her. It's actually comical. Have you all seen the video? I was making the way over.
She's got a famous picture with Taco Fall from a few years ago. Yeah, it's hilarious.
There's a video that was making its way over around social media about a week ago of Zach Edey going into a girl's dorm room at Purdue. I don't know if it's his girlfriend or friend or what. I don't know.
We talked about that.
But yeah. It literally is like the Jolly Green Giant, like trying to go in here to like some girl's room.
Did you see the girls in the hallway, like their facial expression?
It was unreal. Serious question. Serious question.
All right, hold on.
How does he sleep on the road?
I was watching some clip of shit. It was a podcast. They were talking about it, but they were like, "Yeah, we're humongous. We just curl up in a ball." So,
like when he's on the road and they're at a Best Western in Madison, Wisconsin.
Well,
What is he sleeping on? Like, are they just putting together 3 double beds or something? Like, 3 twin beds? Or how his legs have got to be like hanging outside of the room.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, he's not
it's the same with Shaq back in the day and all them. So, all right, I just sent that link for the picture with her and Taco Fall, just for comedic effect here.
Can you access it? My computer may explode.
All right.
But yeah, talking about Zach Edey, NBA wise, I saw his mock. He's like a late first, early second. So he's not guaranteed to last. But yeah, I don't think he'll ever be as good as Yao Ming, just because like Yao Ming was a better shooter, I think, and more athletic.
Different time.
But I think he might be like a matchup dependent kind of player.
Yeah,
I think he can fill out a role. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be great if he's going late first. Then he'll get on a playoff team. He'd be fun to watch in Oklahoma City.
Oh, he would be. Yeah. As weird as he looks too, he would fit in perfectly with that. Or like San Antonio, like some organization that does well with foreign players and weird looking guys. He would fit in well there. Could you imagine him and Wembanyama together? Hey, by the way, I said his name correctly, didn't I? I didn't call him.
There you go. Congratulations, you're coming around.
There we go.
Call him Frenchie.
Pepe Le Pew, him and Pepe Le Pew over there. Maybe they can bond over. Do we know what part of Canada Zach Edey's from?
No, but I will look it up real quick.
Okay, maybe they can bond over a poutine, unless he's not from a cultured part of Canada. Which, looking at his face, he probably is from like Calgary or some shit like that.
Well, I know he's half Korean.
Okay.
Toronto.
Yeah, every time he makes a free throw, for some reason they show his mom in the stands.
Okay. Well, he's got somehow I must have missed that. I don't think I've ever seen his mother, but good for her. I'm sure she's very, 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 very proud. Unlike
from the TO.
Unlike Chris, who just makes everyone sad, including on this podcast. All right. Yeah. Well, any other thoughts from you guys before I go dive into my dinner? And as I'm sobering up during this podcast, I need to reacclimate myself to the effects of alcohol.
It's been a fun basketball season. Sad to see college basketball go, but NBA playoffs getting ready to start. So we still got a few more.
Just reminded me, the Magic just finished. I'm pretty sure they won, but I need to see if they covered the spread.
Let me tell you something. I would rather go fight on the front lines in Ukraine in nothing but my boxers and a pocket knife than watch the NBA playoffs. Jesus.
I would rather you do that too.
Yeah, you do it. Can we get you on a plane to go over there?
I'll leave it up to you guys to figure out which side I'll be on.
Oh, we already know.
That's
we know.
That's a story for another day. But yeah, so we get the national championship game on Monday. We'll come back and switch the schedule up. As they said, 50 said, go ahead and switch the style up. If they hate, then let them hate and watch the money pile up. We will switch the schedule to Wednesday this week to accommodate Chris and his parole hearing. So we can do this show then and get a Masters prediction as well. Chris, the Masters is the golf tournament that they won't let you into the state of Georgia this week.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't like pimento cheese, so fuck it.
You're an awful human being. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday.
Pimento cheese is so good.
The greatest things that God has ever put on this planet, along with Kate Upton and beer.
When Chick-fil-A had that pimento cheese, I was going up there like twice a week to get it.
Oh, it's so good. So good. All right. Well, on that unfortunate note, Scotty, where can we find this monstrosity of a podcast?
Rumble.
Find us. Yeah, we keep forgetting to tell people at the beginning. We'll go subscribe to our YouTube and our Rumble. You can find us on all the socials. Let's Not Do This Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, or X. Instagram, TikTok, forgetting something. Pretty much everywhere but Snapchat. Maybe we'll get a Snapchat at some point.
No, we do not.
Premium Snapchat. Let's go.
You cannot go on Snapchat. There's millions of women all over America are saying no to him on Snapchat, as opposed to real life, which they also say no to him as well. But yes, we're also on Threads, which I think everyone Threads still exists. We are there. Every now and then I log into that app and just see people having conversations with themselves, much like Chris, who does it alone in his room at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I still get random notifications of random people with just a weird status that doesn't even mean anything. It's like, why are you sending me this?
But yes, Wednesday we'll be back. We'll react to the national championship game, which we are a little bit more than 24 hours away from. And we will preview the Masters, which, of course, is the best week of the year, which begins on Thursday. And hopefully Chris will get that rash cleared up as well before then. And hopefully my camera will work again.
I'm going to buy some hooks for these so they won't keep falling out my fucking ear the whole episode.
There you go. We're all making progress. We're all making improvement there. So, all right. Well, on that note, arrivederci and aloha means goodbye and hello.
Sure. Okay.
Cool outro, bro.
It's the music.
Chris smells.